I'm not aware of it not being in those reports. And obviously, if that is the case.
Okay, I would appreciate also access to that information, and if those reports have already been pulled, I would like to see them. Can you please explain the practice by which department members previously borrowed facial recognition technology, as in how were results requested from other departments?
The process used, there's other departments obviously that have facial rec, and there's another agency called MOSIC, which is it stands for Mid-States Organizational Crime Information Center, which is located out of Springfield, Missouri. And that's another resource tool that we have as well to access that technology. When it comes to the point in the case where an investigator decides they're going to use facial rec, if we have a suitable still photograph pulled from a camera on a canvas, they will decide to email either the respective agency or MOSIC, one of those, to see if we get a hit, and then results will be given back to us from that agency.
Sorry, just to clarify, were requests made to specific other departments, or was it sort of sent out in a group email chain?
No, there was. About a year ago, there was a group email chain. Ma'am, I'm forgetting the name. I don't know if it was the Milwaukee area violent crime team or there was an email chain at that point. Since this all started coming up, I believe that the captains or the investigators are now emailing, like analysts will email directly to those departments to get, and that have the facial rec program, and then we'll get a direct response from them.
Okay, thank you. Just to clarify, is the practice still continuing?
As needed right now, we are using, yes.
Wow. So I'm a little confused because earlier, certainly at the ERC, and I believe on several other occasions, the department indicated, I think someone quoted it today, that you couldn't borrow any more cups of sugar.
Well,
so you can continue to borrow cups of sugar then?
I remember, I believe the lady said borrowing a cup of sugar. When we first came to the commission last year, we're stating our intent to get it is to get our own program, getting charged more for the extra use. I don't think, to my knowledge, those agencies that are actually, that were using that or that said that at the time, I don't think we are accessing them as a partner agency anymore. And I believe other agencies have gotten the program since then that we have been reaching out to.
Wow. Okay, so the department still has a practice of using FRT, you just haven't obtained new licenses.
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay, and so you are continuing this practice with no SOP in place?
As we said, that's correct, and we're trying to work on getting an SOP.
I'm a little confused, maybe I'm missing something. So there's no rush to finish the SOP, although this commission did receive a pretty finished looking draft of one. But in the meantime, you are going to continue to use this technology with what you stated are no formal or written guidelines?
There's a very limited use in more of the rare cases of violent crime. It has been a practice for the time that you're talking about. This is again a hard pathway to walk in regards to that. Yes, the SOP is not finished. It's not been put before me to be approved of any way. I do appreciate the team trying to put together something so that basically it can be part of a discussion. But as in having anything in writing for a SOP to guide us, that is correct that we don't have a finished product. There was a push earlier by me to get this in place because, again, technology is not going to wait for us, and that there are needed guidance in regards to this. But as I see that there's challenges in regards to this conversation and the issues in regards to us obtaining our own, because yes, there is the strain of other departments saying, yes, you guys have your own particular product. I am slow walking this process because of the concerns brought up not only tonight, but seeing things nationwide. But yes, in a limited capacity, there has been reach out, and as you heard from Inspector Lau, we can give you a, reporting out what those times use, but it's not situations where we're trying to get ahead of the investigation, and this is probably an investigative lead.
Okay, so how can you ensure that the department's current use of FRP is in line with your stated guidelines if that's not in writing anywhere?
So first of all, it's not just something that is a tool that can be used by anybody or the department. The investigators who are detectives are a promoted rank. These are individuals who are, a number of years on their organization. This is, again, with oversight of our supervision. We have sergeants, lieutenants. The expectation of clear in regards to we will allow this particular tool to be even asked for and used for. But yes, it does make it difficult in regards to that if there is any particular type of slip-ups of what is the consequence from not having a SOP in place, because that is a tool to utilize in regards to being able to have the appropriate checks and balances. And so this is why we had this discussion and tried to put it before this body and other bodies, because we understand the importance of having this tool as a resource, making sure that we are, have the proper bumper rails and guardrails, utilizing best practices. And so we're kind of in a holding pattern.
Okay, so since there is no SOP and there is no written guidance, if a member of MPD chose to go outside of what you are saying, how would they have consequences?
Well, there's a number of consequences, ma'am, depending on what is being used and how it's been used. We have still core values. We have still a number of SOPs in regards to behaviors. And so the SOP will have, again, more specific for that particular tool. We have a number of things depending on how it's been used, what's been used in regards to not a, for the purpose of the department. So there's other ways to be able to have, again, consequences, but it makes it easier to have something specifically for that particular resource or tool.
Okay, I guess to me that seems like a real hole in the accountability of it all. Is the department concerned about the impact of procedural justice and the continued practice with no written guidelines or SOP?
Understanding the cost ratio, and definitely we do understand the challenge of navigating this, which is why we're trying to work with you all to find a way to be able to find a common ground. This is important, and hopefully with this concern that you have recognized, ma'am, that you will help us guide us through this process as quickly as possible to ensure that we are, again, being able to be ahead of this. Definitely understand from a risk manager standpoint, but we still do have rules and regulations. We have a lot of rules and regulations within the Washington Police Department that if things are, again, misused or not according to our standards, we have still tools to be able to find people accountable for actions out there.
Okay, I just want to note, I guess, like there are real costs to taxpayers that have already happened in other cities in cases of issues around facial recognition technology and wrongful arrest. Several of those in Detroit and New Jersey were $300,000 settlements. I'm not sure what else is still in the courts, but like I do want to note that that matters to me, that there are real costs, or potential costs to the taxpayer here.
That matters to me also, ma'am. Absolutely.
Okay. I don't mean to take up the entire commission's question asking time, but I just want to check in with I'm happy to also send questions via email, but I do think it's important for information to be received by the public as well. So, okay, no, I appreciate it. So, with regards to potential use of biometrica, is the only way that this technology is useful in turning over the booking photos? If the booking photos are not turned over, does the technology not function?
Mr. Jalal?
You know, I don't know the answer to that question. That's noted. I understand it. If that's something I could take back and even get a hold of one of the representatives, I would be happy to do so.
Okay, can we also see a copy of a draft or whatever data sharing agreement that MPD would sign with Biometrica?
It all came up in conversations, and when we presented to you guys a year ago, simply because in checking around some of the partner agencies, I'm aware that the Milwaukee County Sheriff engaged with them, and that's just one that we started speaking to. And again, like the chief said, we're not in a contract with anyone, and we haven't formally, obviously, decided on any company yet.
Okay, are you in conversations with any other companies?
I am not, and I'm not aware of anyone else in our department being in conversation with any other company. So there you go, Chief answered that.
Okay, thank you. In the interest of not continuing to make my fellow commissioners sit here for the rest of their lives, I will probably
Yeah, we'll stay. You're being entertained here.
I'm gonna finish up real quick. I have really nitty-gritty questions about a potential draft SOP, about photo arrays, about show-ups, about probable cause. I think that maybe we can get into those a little bit down the line, but I also think it's really important that the public should hear the answers to these questions as well. So I won't do this in a shady secret email. I just don't necessarily need us to get into the nitty-gritty because we cannot interact with the draft SOP right now, apparently. So I just have to ask like a really hard question, which is why should we trust that the department would adhere to any guardrails that you said when you were not transparent and in some ways continue to not be transparent about your use of this technology?
So I differ from your perspective, ma'am. I believe that we are trying our best to navigate. Again, this is new technology for us, used in a way that has been, again, heard from the particular presentation today and also other particular academia's best practices for violent crime. And this is, again, an ongoing conversation, working through this. Again, this department brought it up. These are, again, conversations amongst us, and it was, we need to make sure that those who are oversight and those who are dealing with our oversight is aware. Yes, there was a little bit putting the cart before the horse, but I would say blaming it on the head, not the heart. When we want to make sure that they're solving their cases and getting out there. We were in some really challenging times. Not saying that we're in the best of times right now, but I just want to, harken back what 2021 looked like, 2022 looked like. And these particular type of technologies were being used for somebody stole somebody's tricycle. So I do agree that we could have been better in terms of communication. But we've been juggling a lot of different things all throughout this particular administration. We're committed to continue to talk and work, and I know that I have discussions even with some of those in this body in regards to slow walking this, and I agree, and I believe we've been slow walking this, but in this conversation you can see why it is necessary to have some specific rules in place. And I would love to be able to work with anyone who can help us, guide us, to be able to understand how to navigate this a particular challenging conversation. But, you know, the crime that we're dealing with is not going anywhere. You saw that we have a challenge with regards to homicides last year. This is a challenging conversation because there still is a need, but we do understand that there is challenges in regards to taking on this particular type of technology where there are, you know, things that can go wrong with it. I acknowledge that and I recognize that, and we'll work with you on that.
All right, so, a couple of things. I'm glad, Chief, that you, want to hear from academics. I want to be very clear on what I heard most predominantly from Katie tonight, which is that the community should be the main decider in whether or not this technology is used. And I think we'd be pretty hard pressed at this point to make a credible argument that we haven't heard from the community about what they want related to this technology. So I want to put that out there. I also want to flag, like, I know this is like so incredibly frustrating all across every direction for so many reasons. One thing that I think community speaking up has done that is very, very positive on this topic is that in April, I felt like we were T-minus 2 seconds from MPD signing with Biometrica. That has not happened. We're hearing tonight they have not, right? You have not signed with Biometrica, and that you will not sign something with a vendor for MPD before having an SOP. Using borrowing FRT, and I don't think that's acceptable.
Yeah.
So I think that needs to bring back into the discussion a moratorium for casual use of FRT, casual meaning borrowing from other jurisdictions, until there's an actual policy in place. And even then, like there needs to be, well, let's be clear on this too. There needs to be FRT policy regardless of whether or not MPD signs a vendor contract. Because I can use FRT on my own phone. I can go search something on my own phone, and we don't need officers doing that, right? So we need governance, SOP around facial recognition technology, regardless of there being a vendor. Also, I'm kind of with it, Commissioner Fung. Like my trust is diminished. I don't think this is the right move. I feel like and to me, more than the minutia of FRT, even if FRT was the best thing ever, which it's not, if the community was coming with this energy to tell me they didn't want this, then that's it for me, right? So I think that like, that part, I don't understand. I think it would make the most sense for this city to step back, table this. This is not the time to be bringing this technology to this town when 5 hours down the road, we're seeing what happens when there's this overreach. So like, I think there's been so many good comments, excellent questions this evening, and I think it gets discouraging, it gets frustrating. There's trust issues, and we also can't stop because we need to make a formal recommendation to the county council. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents.
Told you they were lying.
Anything else before we move on from the commissioners? Okay. Director, please proceed with the agenda.
All right, so we'll start.
Excuse, I have a question. So where does that put us based on everything that's been said? Now are we waiting another month, another 2 weeks, another 6 months? Where do we go?
Yeah.
What's what?
That's a good question. I mean, to my way of thinking, I think it's time for FPC to draft our recommendation about the use of FRT. I don't think we can wait. We can't wait for the MPD SOP at this point, given the fact that FRT is being used. I did not know FRT was still being used and borrowed. So that.
Your recommendations as to pertain to SOPs.
I mean,
They can, well, I'll say it like this. The way the statute says, 6250 is that the FPC can make recommendations for policy change. I think it's a reasonable interpretation of that, and that you can recommend new policy, even if it's not contained within that language. I think there's an argument it is, but even if it's not, you can still do it. You can make a recommendation about whatever you want in terms of the creation of a policy.
Okay.
And there's nothing legally preventing you from doing it. Does that answer the question?
Sure, I guess I'm just curious with regards to the directive authority, if it is possible for the PC to direct the department to no longer use this technology or borrow it at all until X procedure happens.
So, I don't want to give a legal opinion on this one, but I'm gonna, it's gonna kind of sound like a lawyer answer. The statute says, 6250 sub 23, the board may review the efficiency and general good conduct of the departments. The chief shall act as an advisor to the board when the board reviews his or her department. The board may issue written directives to the chief based on a review of the chief's department. The chief receiving a directive shall implement the directive unless the directive is overruled in writing by the mayor. So that part of 6250 still exists. It is not changed by Act 12. It says the board can issue directives.
Okay, so I mean, I don't think we have an answer date on yet, Commissioner Wilkerson. Like, I think that's what we're trying to figure out. We have the last meeting, we laid out what the process will be for making a formal recommendation. And I think we need to start drafting something. I don't know if it's a directive, it's a recommendation, if it's something. And I think that has to happen like now.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
while we do have a quorum, I think we have 5 commissioners.
Yeah.
5 left.
No, we have
I'm not sure
6.
if Commissioner Evans is there.
Yeah, he is.
He's there?
Yeah, it's the wood door. You can't really see his
Okay.
head.
Well, this is a meaty conversation.
Yeah.
And I would like to have as many commissioners. I want to rush it tonight, but I do think it's important to have a recommendation come out soon.
I agree. I mean, this part of what's frustrating, but it takes a minute, but it's going to. But also, I do think, I feel, I don't want to speak, I guess I want to speak from, but I feel the urgency from all, I think we're all feeling the urgency.
And just as a point of clarification, this is noticed as a communication file, so I don't think it's fairly noticed to take action on a formal recommendation or directive at this time.
So what's the CTA?
Nor do I think it's fair that the community should be coming out week after week to say the same thing because, nothing has happened, basically, because we're still in the same place. And they're saying the same thing over and over, and now it's 11 o'clock. You know what I mean? What's next?
Yeah, vote to table it.
And we're here for 575.
Sleep
May I-
on, city hall, sleep on.
Yeah,
They just
so-
found out they're still using it.
So thank you. Any commissioner can request an item be put on the upcoming agenda. And so that's the way we do it.
For a month? A month?
No,
2 weeks?
Next week?
Next week?
any commissioner can request
We have a meeting again.
an item be put on the upcoming agenda.
And that request is made to the chair. Is that
Sure. I got, sure.
To the chair or to the executive director.
Yeah, I
Well,
think that's right.
The chair does set the agenda. I think I can go out on a little bit of a limb here that I'm fairly confident that Chair Horowitz, if a commissioner requests an item be placed on the agenda, I feel confident that she will put that item on the agenda absent extraordinary circumstances.
With all fairness, that the Chief Norman, he said his slow walk, that they have flushed out, even though they're still using it, that they flushed out those critical concerns that they're needing to get to the answers that will be comfortable for them. I mean, we're not the police department, so I think we're needing all of it in the mix so that we can really be responsible with this endeavor.
Y'all are gonna need a bigger meeting.
That's what I'm gonna do. So, maybe we figure out from here. So I think, I don't want to Commissioner Will Patterson's point. This is, and I know you're happy, some of you are happy to be here, and that's great. But I think like, or willing to be here, whatever the right word is. Yeah, and would be here, all the time. I don't think you should have to come out here for, like if we don't have something together. So my question is, how long does it take for us to draft something, figure out what we want to say, recommend? I don't think, to Commissioner Spence's point, we don't have everybody tonight. So I'm not sure, like, if we feel like all in agreement about whether or not we want to advance. We certainly don't know if we're going to advance a directive or a recommendation. We don't know, for example, if we have a mixed bag or an agreement about whether or not we submit something like that prior to having a SOP from the department or not, right? Like, there's all these pieces. So I don't have an answer to that right now, but I think the commission needs to, we need to figure it out quick.
And, yeah,
Yeah,
we don't have to be in sync on
That's
a
right.
recommendation.
that's right.
Bring it forward. Democracy is messy. We'll have the discussion and we'll end up with something at the end of the day that the majority will agree to.
Yeah. Okay.
Can we just provide a reminder about the process for recommendations that we had shared at the last meeting for the public?
Okay.
Yeah, so, off the top of my head, the process would be, I think we've gone through it quite a bit. So an issue's been raised, there's been, information shared, both through you tonight, through the department, at the various meetings so far from the community on a number of occasions. If you all feel that that's a sufficient amount of information, then you would move into the discussion, and trying to find alignment for a majority of you to agree on a recommendation. Once we have that, the staff will make a draft and circulate it with you and, make any changes that were,
Madam Chair,
Yeah. Wait,
This
who was
is-
that? Oh, wait, sorry, I thought it was an counselor. Wasn't it?
it is. That's,
I mean, I
Okay.
thought it was a commissioner.
nope, no such luck.
Is it normal?
Ah.
One somebody-
It is.
Through the chair, you can,
Okay, can you keep it brief, Alderman Spiker?
yeah, you're contemplating issuing a recommendation to my committee. I think, it's time to get off the pot. Director Fung has revealed that, facial recognition technology is being used on a limited basis. Since it's not our technology, we've not seen fit to develop an SOP, but people are still using it, and they're still using some sort of guidance that is not transparent, that is not written down. So you could, I suppose, issue a directive to say, stop using it until you develop an SOP. And just to level set here, I had an April 21st meeting with the Chief of Staff, Heather Huff, Inspector Lau, and Captain Hammond, I believe it was, April 21st, where I said, look at what other cities have done, look at what problems they run into, and craft your SOP so that you can be explicitly addressing those problems. I said that back on April 21st, and I've repeated it since then. So to come out here and to say, oh my gosh, give us time, that is ridiculous. There has been nothing but time to formulate this. And this is a case of the public pushing back, people retrenching, and then saying, we have this intent. I do not believe that intent exists anymore. So I just want to bring my own case of a meeting I had almost a year ago, where I raised these very concerns that I knew there were issues out there that other cities had encountered. And I wanted whatever practice SOP was drafted to be sensitive to that and to be transparent to the community. This is the guardrail we're going to put in place to try to deal with that. That was asked for almost a year ago. So I think time's right.
Madam
Thanks.
Chair, I do need to clarify one point I made earlier to Commissioner Fung. And you indicated if you could make a recommendation about the creation of the policy. and just as a practical reality, you can make that recommendation to the department. You could make it to the common council, but the common council does not have the authority under Act 12 to create policy, only to modify or suspend policy. So a recommendation to create policy to the common council would not be an effective recommendation, or practically effective, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so, okay, we have some work to do. One of the things that's hard is we don't discuss as a body except for in these meetings. We're not really allowed to.